Welcome Flight Simulator fans, this is Rob Ainscough. I'm going to be going over the virtual CDU, virtual Avionics. They have several CDU packages that you can use on your iPad or your Android device. In my case, I've actually switched over to an iPad device, and I thought I'd start with what needs to be done to make the virtual CDU work with P3D version 4. Make sure your settings are correct for your CDU, which I assume you've already loaded on to your iPad or Android device. So let's go ahead and go into settings here. Let's scroll down, and as you can see, there's 4 entries of virtual CDU for each aircraft type: 747, 777, A320, and this is for the 737. So what we want to do is we want to make sure each one of these is set up correctly. So we go ahead and select it, and then we want to make sure the IP here matches the IP address of the PC that has the virtual interface software loaded on it, your Windows PC. This will be your main flight sim PC. So I have 192.168.0.26 here. I have port 9000. That's what it's looking for on my flight sim PC. So we're going to go over here to my flight sim PC, and let's just verify that I am actually in that address range. So I'm going to go command cmd, command prompt, right click, run as administrator, and then here I'm going to type in IP config, and this is going to show me my IP. In this case, this is 192.168.0.26. So my PC is configured correctly, and my IP over here does match. Let's go ahead and go over our location for the VAInterface. The VAInterface software is going to be installed on a drive other than, or I should say in a directory other than, your program files or program data. I like to install it on a completely separate drive. Over here it's called Virtual Avionics directory. In here you got the VAInterface, and then in here you have your control panel, you have your VAInterface exe. You want to make sure you've installed the latest VAInterface, and the latest VAInterface you can get from their website. So what we need to do is we need to go to the Virtual Avionics website here and go to their download selection here. Once we get there, you want to download their latest VAInterface 2.23.1. But if you don't have the latest, what I recommend is that you uninstall the VAInterface that you currently have and reinstall that 2.23.1 version. And again, I highly recommend you install it into something other than the default location, which I believe is program files. And you install it onto your D drive or install it off the root of C called VAInterface. Like I said, I prefer, in my case, I do a Virtual Avionics here, VAInterface, and that'll install here. Okay, once you have the VAInterface installed, what you want to do is go to this link over here, which is the support link from the Virtual Avionics website, and they give you information about downloading the latest the VAInterface exe, and I believe that is version 2.24.1.11639. You want to take that, download it, and save it off somewhere. And then what you want to do is you want to go over to where you originally installed your Virtual Avionics VAInterface, and you want to rename the original exe. In my case, I just renamed it to .org. And then you want to take their VAInterface. I actually renamed it to just the original name, VAInterface.exe. Right click on that, properties. Let's just make sure that this is the correct version, and it matches the website version, which is over here. And sure enough, it does. Okay, so I've got the correct exe from their website. You want to use this new exe, it'll work with Prepared 3D version 4. This is the only file that's changed. I recommend, though, that you right-click this file and you select Properties, and you select the Compatibility tab, and you select Run this program as administrator. Check this. Once you have that done, then we can go ahead and run Prepared 3D. Now, there's a couple of ways of setting this up. The first way is to run the VA interface before you start Prepared 3D, or run the VA interface after you start Prepared 3D. I haven't had much success running this via the exe.xaml. It's fairly inconsistent. So what I prefer to do is I actually run this before I start Prepare 3D. So let's go ahead and do that. And when we do that, it should see something pop up over here called VAInterface. Sure enough, there it is. And if you right-click that, there's an option that says Control Panel. So let's go ahead and select the Control Panel. Now in the Control Panel here, we have the aircraft that's currently loaded. We have nothing connected right now, and we have no devices connected right now. Now, what we want to do is we want to go back to confirming our VA interface port number, which we set up on our iPad or Android device. Now we have the VA interface port 9000. Okay, now that's that port you want to make sure isn't being used by something else. The best way to do that is to I have a program that I downloaded from the web, which is called TCP View. You can download TCP View. It's a fairly old program, but it still works, and it works under Windows 10. Just type in TCP View. And this will take you to the TCP View website. And you can download TCP View here. Now, I think this is a handy tool. You can also use netstat with some switches. It's up to you, but this is just so much easier to view all the ports that my PC is currently trying to communicate on. I have TCP View here on my taskbar, so I'm just going to click on that. And what TCP View will do is will show you all the executables and what IPs and or ports it might be using, listening on. It does update in real time. I currently have it paused, which is probably what you want to do if you just want to take a snapshot. And what I have up here is I organize the listing here I sort it by the port number. So as you can see, the port number should be sequential here going down, so we can easily find port 9000, which is this one right here. And sure enough, there it is, 9000 VA interface exe, and it's program ID. So now we've verified that's good, and this helps also with verification to make sure you don't have anything else that might be trying to use port 9000. So we've got that established. We know VA interface is working on port 9000, so that's all good there. Let's go ahead and exit TCP View. We'll leave this open for now. Now going back over to here, we've got our VA interface set up correctly, so we know that's all good. And I'll just cycle through here. My CDU for the 777, it's all the same. For the A320, for the 737. Let's go ahead and we'll do the 737. Let me close that settings. Let's go back over to my CDU. So there's the CDU for the 737. And we're not connected yet, which is okay. Let's go ahead and bring up for 3D version 4. Okay, so Prepared 3D is up. I'm going to go ahead and select the 7th PMDG 737. I also have the iFly version, so we can do those later, but let's just go ahead and pick any one. United, and hit OK. Weather I don't really care about. Let's just get this showing so it works. Okay, so we've got our PMDG loaded here. I mean our 737 loaded here. Let's take a look at the CDU. Using chase plane, and as you can see, I've got my controller set to fairly slow motion, but that's alright. I just want to get this display up and running. Alright, so we've got our CDU here on screen. Next thing we want to do is go Alt-Enter here. I'm going to bring up the control panel for the VAInterface. And as you can see here in the control panel, we have the aircraft that's currently loaded. Devices is not selected yet, but what we want, because we haven't connected. So what we want to do is we want to set the aircraft here. We have to click the Edit button to get access to the aircraft, and then we want to pick the PMDG 737 NGX. Hit the Save button. Okay, so now we've associated the VAInterface to the correct aircraft that we've got loaded in Prepare3D. And now we're going to go over here, and I'm going to hit the Connect set item here, and then we're going to go FMC, and sure enough, we should be seeing our FMC over here update. At least that's there we go. And then we go maintenance, simulation. So there's our FMC. Seems to be working. I mean, our CDU seems to be working. And let's go ahead and go back to the main menu. And there we go. Going to back to the VAInterface control panel. Now that we've connected, we should see a devices here, and it should list the connected device. And sure enough, there it is with its serial number. Now this is for the PMG 737. I use the same process for the 777, 747. And for the same for the iFly variants of the 747 and the iFly's 737. I use the same process for all of them, and this does work for all of them. The only thing you have to make sure you do is that when you're switching aircraft, you should always exit Prepare3D. Wait for everything to completely shut down and exit Prepare3D. So with this setup, we no longer need the control panel. We can just put that back, go back into here, hit Alt-Enter, go back to full screen, and now we should still have complete functionality. Yes, we do. Do the ident, you can do your position, airport reference, all that kind of good stuff. Yeah, like I said, if you're going to change aircraft, you should exit Prepare3D all the way and make sure it's completely unloaded. So I'm going to go ahead and exit, say yes. Okay, now we're back at the desktop, but does that mean that Prepare3D is unloaded? Not necessarily. If you have a lot of entries in your exe.xaml file, they may still be loaded, and you want to make sure they get unloaded. I had chase plane running here, as you can see in the background. I also have a lot of other things running in the background, so what we can do is we can bring up the task manager here. We can scroll down, and we can well, that's chase plane, I know that's running, but there might be some additional things that you don't know that are running that might cause problems. Specifically, well, we confirmed here that Prepare3D is now unloaded because it's not listed here. There's no Prepare3D exe. But I just happen to know that the Prepare3D module to data bridge shouldn't be loaded. In fact, this is my GoFlight stuff, so I'm going to have to manually end task it. Same here with the simple object display engine. For some reason, this didn't unload, so I need to end task that also. And finally, the UTL Client 32. This is for the ultimate traffic live. You definitely want to make sure you end this task as well. And we have a virtual avionics running. That's okay because we actually started that process outside of Prepare3D manually, so Prepare3D wouldn't release it. Now, as far as we're going to go in a different aircraft here, so let's go ahead and terminate that. We don't need settings. Let's go ahead and do the 777 CDU. So we'll bring that up. And let's fire up Prepare3D and connect to it. Now keep in mind my VAInterface is still running here. Okay, so here we are back in Prepare3D. Let's go ahead and change to the PMDG 777. 2, 3. It doesn't really matter. Pick any airline you want. I mean, any variant you like. And go ahead, clear skies, and let's load. Okay, so we have our 777 loaded, or PMDG 777 that is. Let's go ahead and check out the FMC, the CDU.
On runway 19.
Okay, so there's our CDU. Hopefully it's easy to see there. Alright, so now we want to go ahead and do what we did with the other aircraft. With the 737, we'll go Alt-Enter here, exit full screen. And we're going to bring up the control panel. And it's going to list the aircraft. And that is correct. And we want to go ahead and hit edit. And we want to select the PMDG 777X. And we want to hit save. There we go. Now we've associated the aircraft to the correct profile. And now let's go ahead and try and connect. And there we go. We get our connection. So let's just go over this again. If you are having problems, you shut down the VAInterface, exit, and then you go ahead and connect. In this case, we are connected now. If you see, you can hit the FMC. You can see everything changing the way it's supposed to change. Index, menu, legs, route, departure, arrivals. So all those are working correctly. Let's go ahead and disconnect here again. So let's just go over that. Review that again. Notice this is now blue, not green. Blue means it's not connected. Let's go ahead and exit. And let's just run this one more time. So we run the VAInterface. Here it is. Do not select the control panel. It should already be selected to the aircraft. Again, that's if you've done it the first time. Let's go ahead and hit the connect button. And now notice you get into the blank, you don't get the screen you want to see. Hit the menu button, and now you should get the screen you want to see. And it should be functioning the way you want to see it function. It seems to be working pretty good. Hit rough, alright. And all the LS keys should be working correctly also. Doors. Next page. Okay. So there you go. Like I said, if you're having problems, the best thing to do is to actually just shut the VA interface down, right-click exit, and then start it up again. But do not select the control panel. Do not select that. The first time you run it, you will need to select the aircraft. But if it doesn't connect straight away, the subsequent times that you run it, just disconnect the VA interface, reconnect the VA interface, don't select the control panel, and go ahead and try and connect. Convoluted, but it does work.